Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Under the Sportlight. This is the podcast that explores the people who live and breathe professional sport. I'm your host, Phil, and today we're joined by Nina Kucheran. She's a Canadian national level swimmer, NCAA All-American with the University of Florida. She's competed with on the international stage, trained alongside some of the best in the world. Now she's transitioning from elite sport into medical school, bringing a whole new perspective on performance and identity. Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you for being here. Did I say anything wrong, or was that an
No,
okay?
that was perfect. You hyped me up, gassed me up.
Great, awesome. Hey, I'm really excited to have you here. This is a conversation I've been really looking forward to. But I always like to start just asking you about your childhood a little bit. Growing up, you're from Sudbury in Ontario,
Yeah,
am I right?
do you know where Sudbury is?
I do know where it is. I've never been, but I do know where it is. So how was it growing up in the cold town of Sudbury?
Wow, I'm surprised that you know where it is. I feel like people from outside of Ontario don't really know it. But it was lovely. Honestly, Sudbury is like pretty small town. I mean, population's a little bit bigger now, but definitely small town vibes and a lot of really awesome nature things growing up. So my childhood was a lot of hiking, fishing, swimming in the lakes, and then just painfully getting through the winters. But yeah, I had a family that just really liked outdoorsy stuff, so kind of got me into that from a young age and put me in a lot of sports. So started that passion pretty young and had a really close-knit friend group. I feel like, yeah, just small town vibes. I'm still friends with the same 6 girls that I went to kindergarten with, so I'm grateful to grow up in a town like Sudbury after all the different places I've lived now.
Nice. And do you have a francophone background as well? Do you speak French?
Yeah, I did all my school, like elementary, high school in French. My family, my dad's side is from Kapuskasing, Ontario, which is an even smaller town. It's like a really small French town, like way, way north in northern Ontario. So I grew up speaking French and going to school in French.
Nice. Okay, so I was gonna go ahead and start asking all the questions in French, but I should probably not do that because I don't speak French, so that would be bad.
You can practice. Let's do it.
Bonjour. That's as far as I'm gonna go.
Magnifique.
Magnifique. Yeah. There you go. Every time you say something cool, I'm gonna say magnifique. I just feel good about myself and my French here. So you said you did a lot of sports. Was swimming just something you did from an early age, or did you do other sports primarily and then moved on to swimming later on?
Yeah, I started like just, I feel like my parents kind of threw me in a little bit of everything growing up. I did soccer, gymnastics, running, yeah, kind of a little bit of everything. And then I started swimming when I was 8. Just fell in love with the water. I think I liked it more than most things, and I was better at it than the other sports I was doing too. I was not a very classy figure skater. So obviously I think you're drawn to the sports that you're a little bit better at. So I found early success in
Mm.
that and stuck with it.
So when did you realize you were really fast and really good in the water?
Um, well, again, Sudbury is a small town. I swam for a pretty small club, the Sudbury Laurentian Swim Club. So I think when I was younger, I was always the youngest person in the group, and I was moving up groups really fast. And then suddenly I found myself being, 10, 11 years old, training with the high school kids. And I think that fueled a lot of my fire. It's always, fun to be a little kid training with older people that you get to look up to. Yeah, so I think when I was younger, just moving up groups and getting to swim with the older people, I was like, okay, this is something that I could potentially be good at.
Yeah. Well, if you're beating everybody, then you're probably like, yeah, I'm probably pretty good at this.
Yeah, I love to train with boys and beat the boys. I loved that when I was a
Of
little girl.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave them in your dust, or I don't know what the one that we say for water is. If it's
I don't
not
know
dust,
either.
what would it be?
Yeah, whatever that
So,
is, absolutely. I was a competitive kid for sure.
so you were mentioning coaches. Did you have any coaches or anyone else that you looked up to, like even in your family or outside of your family, anybody that you looked up to as a good role model for yourself when you were growing up and swimming?
Yeah, I love that question because I get to shout out like my favorite person in the world. The head coach of the Sudbury Laurentian Swim Club, who is still the head coach to this day. His name's Dean Hensey. And he coached me. I was so lucky because, again, when I was younger, I was swimming well and moving up groups. So he coached me from the age of 11 till 18. So all the way until I left for university. Yeah, and I feel like it's not very common where you get the same coach for that many years. And he was just a wonderful figure in my life. He's someone who was an amazing coach, taught me, how to push through in the water and taught me a lot of what I know about swimming and training and the mindset for that. But then also was just someone who was very supportive to me and kind of like a father figure in my life. Like he was at my birthday parties and was always just really supportive. So I'm honestly blessed to have had like the best coach in the world. Truly. I owe a lot of my successes to him.
Did you feel any pressure at that point, being a top swimmer and being coached so closely by a really good coach to do really well?
I never felt pressure from him. I feel like our relationship was like a perfect balance of he knew when to push me and he knew when he needed to yell and he needed to get me to keep going, but I also knew he always had my best interest in heart, and if I needed to pull back for whatever reasons, like mental, physical, he was always 100% supportive of that. So never pressure from him in any sense. I feel so blessed to have been supported by him. Um but for
Did you
sure,
ever pressure yourself?
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's so common for most athletes, but I struggled with a lot of performance anxiety. Um I think in high school for sure. When I was 15, couple weeks before Canadian trials that year, I fell 30 feet off a rock climbing wall and broke my foot and hurt my back and had a pretty bad injury. And yeah, it was definitely not very pleasant. And yeah, coming back from that, just a lot of performance anxiety and doubting myself to get back to where I was. And I feel like that was kind of when a little bit of performance anxiety started for me. Um, yeah, for sure.
Um, and did you eventually qualify for, was it Junior Pan Packs and Youth Olympics? Is that how? So walk me through how all that happened.
Yeah, so again, the injury that I had was a pretty big setback. Again, it was in 2015, and I had been ID'd for some junior national team camps that year, and I was on like a really good trajectory. And obviously, that injury set me back a couple months and probably years mentally at that point. So yeah, 2015, I was on some ID camps for junior national team, got injured, and took me a little while to bounce back from that. I think I had someone who had never really experienced setback in sport before that moment. So just coming back from injury and having to go through the process of getting back to where I was really challenging. And I think it took a couple years for me to get back physically and also mentally. So then 2018 was the year that finally it all kind of came together, and it was just a really special moment because I think kind of 3 years prior to that I was expected to make the junior national team, and obviously things get derailed. So when it finally happened in 2018, it was like a really special moment. It was like years in the making and a pretty big comeback for me. It was really awesome.
Tell me a little bit about that mindset, because you said it took you a while to get to that point. What goes through your head once you have that injury? And I'm sure at that point you had goals, right? You're looking at things that you want to do and things you want to achieve. What is going through your mind when you go through an injury and then now you have all this recovery time ahead of you to go get back to even where you were in the first place?
Yeah, I think when I went through that, I was pretty young. So having the perspective I have now and going through an injury, I think would go a lot smoother. But yeah, I was 14 when that happened. And I think as a competitive person and anyone in sport understands this, like you just want to go, go, go all the time. You want to be the best. You want to beat people. You want to swim fast. And I think when your body physically fails you in some type of way, when you don't view anything as like a setback, it can be really frustrating to basically have an injury and have your body like not cooperate. Um, yeah, so I think it was just really frustrating to have an injury and take time to get back to where I was, because I think that's a national or like natural progression of things. Is you get hurt, you have to let your body heal, and then of course training, it takes time to get back to that. And it can be really easy to not give yourself the grace that like you need and to see it as like a process and just look at like the end result. So I think when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I want to make the junior national team. I have like Olympic goals. I have all these really big goals, and I just wanted to get back there immediately. And that's not how life works. I think any kind of setback, like whether it be physical or mental, like the body needs time to heal and only you can really know that. Um, So yeah, I think if I were to go through the injury at my age now, there would be less tears involved and a little bit more grace. But at the time, I just wanted to be back to where I was and was frustrated that my body wasn't really cooperating.
Yeah, no kidding. And we're gonna get to your new life as a medical school student further down in this conversation. But do you think that that sort of setback prepared you in any way for this time of your life as well?
Totally. Yeah, because I think I'm so grateful for swimming and for sports in general, just for the teaching of resilience and mindset and being able to put your head down and work. But it's a dance, right? Like you have to know when to push and when to not listen to your feelings and know that there's just things that you have to get done and you have to do it. But then you also have to know when your body and mind is telling you like, okay, I've done enough. I need to rest. So definitely in medical school, like it's so comparable. It's different, obviously. It's a lot more mind training than body training, but it's the same thing. You got to do the best you can on any given day. There's lots of long study hours, but when you hit a wall, when you hit a point, when your brain can't retain anything, you got to know when to give yourself the grace to say like, okay, this is where I'm at today, and I have to be happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, I can't imagine how much that would have helped you mentally, but also physically to where you are right now. If you're looking back at that time, was there ever an early race back then that was really memorable to you, or that you look back and say, "Wow, that changed everything for me. That was really a really important one."
Yeah, I think Canadian trials in 2018, I think it was in Montreal at the Olympian. Um, and at that point, I'd say I had physically recovered. I had been training really, really well for a long time, but I think somewhere along the lines in my high school years, like I developed a really like bad performance anxiety and um would work my butt off in the pool and do really awesome things in training, but for some reason it wasn't translating, whether that be mindset from injury or just, the natural progression of getting to perform at a higher level. And so for me, it had been like a year and a half of swimming really, really well in practice and not having it translate. So at Canadian trials in 2018, I remember I dropped from like a 234 long course 200 breast to like a 228 and made the junior national team, made Youth Olympics. And I just remember touching the wall and looking at the clock and just like shocked because it was like finally.
Yeah, yeah. What is that feeling like? You said shocked, but did you feel like, was it relief, joy? Like, what is it that you feel in that moment?
I think a lot of relief. Someone gave me this analogy once, and it works for swimming, but it honestly works for everything in life. And it's that life is like stuffing marbles in a hose. And you don't necessarily know when the marbles are going to come out, but they're going to come out eventually. So I feel like for me at that time, I had been stuffing so many marbles down. And if I'm using this analogy in my head, I was like, I don't know if they're ever going to come out. Like maybe they're just not meant to come out and they're supposed to stay in the hose forever. But when I touched the wall and saw that time, it was like, okay, the marbles are out. Like, it paid off, you know? But I feel like that's a lot of things in life. Like most of the things that are really worthwhile and make you feel some type of way and like you're contributing, they require a lot of hard work and sometimes long periods of like stagnancy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, that is a really good analogy because yeah, like with everything in life, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes before you get to reap the benefits or reap the fruit from all that hard work. That makes total sense. And so now walk me through then going to the Youth Olympics and competing. How was that experience for you?
Oh, it was amazing. I didn't do it under healthy circumstances, unfortunately, but that was like a really exciting time in my life. I accepted my offer at Florida State. So I had started my freshman year, went to junior Pan Pacs that summer and dropped more time and medaled, which was just amazing. There's like no better feeling than getting to wear your country on your cap. And I'll always cherish those moments. But yeah, Youth Olympics was my second month at Florida State, and I actually had pneumonia 2 weeks before. Um, yeah, so I debated not going. I was really sick, but I just really wanted to go, and I kind of spoke with the coaches and the team and decided that what it was going to be was going to be. So it wasn't my best performance for sure, but I think I made the final in the 50 breaststroke, I believe. And yeah, it was an awesome experience. It was in Argentina, and they had the whole Olympic Village, and felt really special. It was really
Yeah,
cool.
well, that's cool. I imagine if you made the final, having probably you were in the recovering times from pneumonia, I can only imagine what you could have done if you had been healthy. So there's that.
Yeah, thanks. It was really special. I remember thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna make it to the big show someday." Like, if this is Youth Olympics, I can't imagine what the actual Olympics was like. I just yeah, all the feels felt really, really special to be there.
And you were mentioning you were in your second month of Florida State. Walk me through then your journey from cold Sudbury to warm, sunny Florida.
Yeah, gosh, it was amazing. There was just so much new. Because I mean, I had lived my entire life in the same small town up until that point, 18 years in Sudbury, and I'm so grateful for all the time I spent there. But yeah, Florida State was a big school with sunshine and a whole team of people that, were just like me shooting for big things, and you automatically come on with a whole team full of friends. And I really loved the athletic community at Florida State, like, not just the swim team, but, like, all the athletes and the opportunities you had to, like, serve the community and get to know other athletes was, like, super special there. So the first 2 months were a whirlwind because 'cause I'm starting classes, meeting new people, and yeah, it was super exciting, and I really love my experience there.
What did you go to school for there?
I started in biology, and then pretty quick I changed to exercise physiology, which I'm happy about.
So you're in Florida now. What's your biggest shock when entering NCAA swimming?
Biggest shock entering NCAA swimming. Well, I think swimming yards for one. In Canada, we swim meters, like short course meters. So swimming yards, yeah, swimming yards was super different. Like, it's a little bit shorter, it's faster, and I mean, it's fun. Your first meet, everything's the best time because you've never done it, right? Um, yeah, so that was a shock. I think too, just some of the like my first like big meets that I was going to, like ACCs and NCAAs, like I can remember my first NCAAs racing in the same heat as Lily King, who is arguably the greatest female breaststroker of all time, and was a huge fan of the sport. Still am a huge fan of the sport. I have so much respect for all the athletes that, I mean, do sports in general, but to be a champion at that level, I was just totally fangirling. So I think that was a huge shock. Like, little small town Sudbury girl, I'm getting to swim in the same heat as Lily King. It's like, oh my gosh, this is just a dream to be in the same air as her.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can imagine. Like we even got a couple of questions from people that follow you later on. We're gonna ask them, but one of them, and I'll ask it now, because not only Lily, but also you train beside some pretty big names, right? Like other people like Katie Ledecky or Caleb Dressel. What is it like for you to be sharing the pool with those people, and just nonchalantly practicing training with them?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I think anytime you get to be in an environment and an atmosphere with people that breathe excellence, it naturally radiates on you and just makes you want to be better. Um, and yeah, Katie is just so wonderful. I remember being so nervous to meet her the first time because I was just such and still am such a big fan of hers. And I think my favorite thing about training with her was just, I mean, she's an absolute beast. She shows up every day and puts in the work more than anyone I've ever met. But she's also just like a real person who's like a really cool person, and getting to be friends with her and have breakfast with her and just get to know her. She's an amazing athlete, has all these amazing accomplishments, but she's an even better person, like just a genuine, kind person. Um, yeah, and being on the same pool deck as people like that, it makes you want to have bigger goals. It makes you want to, by osmosis, kind of like you want them to rub off on you, and you automatically just level up by being in the same space as them. And I'm so grateful for the sport for leading me to people like that. Truly.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, okay, can you, give me some pointers? Did you ever get any pointers from any of them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think performance anxiety is something that a lot of like people deal with. And I struggled with it throughout my whole career. I think confidence was always something that I struggled with no matter how much work I would put in. There was always a little part of me that would stand up on the blocks and be like, okay, do you really got this? And a big thing I learned from Katie is just doing the work to back it. Like, for sure, gaslighting yourself can be good a lot of the time. And, you gotta like pump yourself up. But when you genuinely put in the work every day, there's no need to question yourself or your abilities because you know that you've done it on a day-to-day basis. So I think like the biggest advice I got from her is just walk the walk, don't just talk the talk, and then that rubs off when you go to compete.
Yeah, and keep stuffing the marbles in the hose, right?
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what then led your decision then to transfer to Florida to swim with the Gators?
Yeah, I know that's such a hot topic because it's like from one rival school to another. Um, yeah, and I mean, I had an amazing time at Florida State. I think I developed as an athlete, but even just as a person, I got like outside of the pool a lot of like leadership opportunities and just really found myself as a person there. I love Florida State. Um, but a big goal of mine when I was swimming was I wanted to make an Olympic team. And I went in 2016. I was pretty young, coming back from injury, didn't have too good of a meet. In 2021 at Olympic trials, I was fourth, not too far off of second place. So when I was graduating Florida State, I had that fire under me of I really wanted to go for another Olympic cycle and see if I could make an Olympic team. Um, and at the time, there was no pro team at Florida State University, and we had an extra year because of COVID. Um, so when I was graduating Florida State, I was like, okay, I could stay at Florida State. I love my time there. I was swimming well, and could do a fifth year there. But then if I would have stayed for the 2024 Olympic year, I would have been the only person not on the college team, like swimming pro, trying to make an Olympic team. So I decided to transfer to pursue a master's because more school is great. I like school as well. And then ultimately find somewhere where I could do a fifth year, but then also swim for a pro year. So I was super lucky when I transferred. I had like the full support of my coaching staff there, which I think is really special because I think transferring has like a really negative connotation a lot of the time. And for sure, there are some experiences that are negative and need change. But for me, my coaches like totally understood what I was trying to do, what I wanted to do. And I think they knew I wanted to go somewhere else to do that. So I had their full support, which was pretty special. So I actually originally committed to Berkeley, and then there was some coaching changes that happened a couple months before school was starting, and Florida was the other school that I had been talking to. So changed my commitment to Florida, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Nice. Did anybody give you a hard time from FSU and that you're going to the rivals?
Yeah, but in like a jokingly way. Like I'm really
Yeah.
lucky. All my teammates were supportive. Even my coaches laughed about it. And it was a little bit weird when we swam our dual meet FSU versus UF when I was on the Gators instead of the Seminoles. I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Can everyone just win? But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
could
really
everyone
lucky.
be happy?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, honestly, I feel so lucky to have had the friends, the teammates, and the coaches that I had at FSU. Like, I think it's a really special thing that I was able to transfer on such good terms and have their full support.
And Nina, you were saying that you really wanted to go to the Olympic Games, right? And as far as I know, you got really close, but you didn't make it, right? And how was that experience for you?
Yeah. Gosh, that's such a loaded question. Cause yeah, I think that Olympic dream was something obviously there was so many meets and a lot of different goals. There was, ACCs, there was SECs and NCAAs, and I wanted to be good all the time. But of course, every athlete growing up, when you get to a certain level, you dream of going to the Olympics, right? So that kind of dream plagued my mind pretty young. Um, and I think 2021 was a good year for me. I actually redshirted that year and I trained with the Markham Aquatic Club in Toronto that's because there was some weird COVID rules with isolation going back and forth from the States. So I decided to still do school, but redshirt my junior year at FSU. And then in 2024, I was fourth in the 200-meter breaststroke, pretty close behind second. And after that race, I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself one more go. Like I want to be an Olympian. I want that more than anything. So I feel like that kind of dream shaped a lot of, I mean, my everyday pretty much. I thought about it, shaped a lot of the decisions I made. Um, yeah, and then in 2024, it didn't quite work out either, and that's a whole other can of worms to open up. Um, yeah, I think it's a tough thing, right? Like there's again the balance of striving for a goal and wanting something really bad, and I don't think you can do anything without having the drive and the passion, but the tightrope of not letting it become your identity. I think that's where it gets really dangerous, and I think that's what swimming became to me at the end, which takes the fun out of it. So that's only something I came to realize with a little bit of reflection after my last year of swimming. Yeah, so I never quite got the end goal, but built a pretty amazing life for myself along the way. And that's not something that you can always see like right after you come off of like a failure. I say failure because I know now it's not a failure, but it really did feel like a failure to me at the time.
That makes sense. And I've spoken to a lot of people that have been able to go to the Olympics, and they had the exact same mentality as you. I want to get there, and you do everything to get there, but not everybody gets to go, and some people are going to be really happy, and some people are going to be disappointed, right? And in sport, as in life, generally speaking, you don't win every time, and it's much more common to not come in first place. So how do you process then that disappointment and thinking about what's next and what's your next step after that?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's for a lot of athletes, like when you get to the end of your career and you know it might be like, time for you to close up on your career. It's a hard thing to come to be like, okay, I've had an amazing career. The sport has served me so well. When is it time to let go? When is it okay in your head for you to realize that you maybe didn't realize some of the goals that you wanted, and when is it time for you to hang it up? I think it's a hard thing that like a lot of athletes go through.
Yeah. Okay, let me move the conversation just a little bit into the more technical aspect of your specific event, which was the breaststroke, right?
Mhm.
I have spoken to people that did butterfly, that freestyle, but you're the first person that I'm talking to that is specialized in breaststroke. So why do you think that became your best stroke, and when did you figure out, hey, this is the one that I'm really good at?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't think you choose breaststroke. I think breaststroke chooses you. It's such an odd stroke. Like it's really not efficient. It's not hydrodynamic in any sense. You have to have a lot of really weird ankle flexibility. It's so funny now. I coach the U Ottawa team, and I was coaching towards the end of my career too. And I love it because it lets me stay in the sport in some capacity. But it's so funny watching people do breaststroke. It's either you can do it or you can't. So yeah, I don't really think I chose it. I think it chose me. It's just something that I was good at. Um, yeah, it's funny. Someone told me one time that like hockey players, like goalies, are like the weird people in hockey, and everyone says that breaststrokers are like the weird people in swimming. So
The weird swimmers.
yeah, yeah, we're the weird ones, I guess.
That's too funny. Well, I myself did swim growing up, not competitively, but I did, practice swimming. And I do remember doing the breaststroke and being just so frustrated because it's so much slower than the other ones. So it takes a lot of focus and mentality to really do really well in breast. How do you approach race strategy in the 200-meter breaststroke?
Totally. Yeah, and I think I mean every stroke is very technical, but obviously maybe I'm a little bit biased. This was my best stroke, but I think breaststroke is a really technical stroke. And I think the cool part about it is there's so many different ways to swim it. If you look at the best in the world, they all have different techniques. Like, Lily King's stroke rate was through the roof, and she was taking 32 strokes a lap for 50 meters. And then her training partner, who was my coach at University of Florida, Annie Laser, was equally talented and amazing 200 breaststroker, and she had super low stroke rate, low stroke count. So I think it's fun for that reason because it looks different on everyone, and there's so many different ways to swim it. But I was a big like technical swimmer. I love staying after practice and doing video work. I mean, I'm still like that. I like the technique of things. I like learning new things. So I used to love to stick around, do video work, and tweak this, tweak that. Um, Growing up with my coach Dean, we focused a lot on like stroke efficiency and stroke count. And that's something I carried into college. And I think a lot of the breakthrough swims I had were when I learned to swim efficiently and not like over swim it, not take too many strokes, but like let my stroke work for me. So I put a big emphasis on my training on finding counts that I was most efficient at and not spinning out and making sure that I was like holding my line. Um, Unfortunately for me in the 200 breaststroke, my last 50 was always a really big struggle for me. It was always lacking a little bit of gas on that last 50. Um, so yeah, my race strat was go out and hold on. Be efficient, see how long you can hold on for.
Do you think that's what separates great breaststrokers from just good ones, that efficiency?
Yeah, and I think just like swimming in general, the ones that pay attention to what they're doing a lot of the time, like Caleb Dressel, for instance, is one of the most technical swimmers ever. Like he would love to do video and look at things, and he was very like inquisitive and curious with his swimming. He didn't have like a mind of this is how you do things. He was always looking to improve and try new things. So I think that applies for all swimmers. Like I think the best swimmers are the ones that are most efficient, but also are the most curious and want to learn the most about how they can improve. Because yeah, you can always improve.
Yeah, I love talking about that technical aspect of swimming, but I'd like to move a little bit more into your next phase of life now. You've been studying for how long now to become a doctor?
I'm closing in on my second year. So 2 years done, two to go.
Okay. Okay, so one day you just finished practice. This is how I imagine it went, right? Like you finished practice, or you just came out of the pool when you thought to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna be a doctor. How does that work?
Not quite the way it happened for me, but I like that picture. I like that picture. Yeah, being going to med school wasn't something that I like had wanted since I was really young. I actually think on my 8th grade yearbook, I put I wanted to be an author and a teacher. I really like reading and writing, and still enjoy really reading a lot. But I think,
You can
yeah,
still do that in medical school or after medical school.
yeah, well, that's the fun part about medicine too, is there's so many like different paths you can take. But I guess kind of how I got here was, yeah, as I was finishing high school, I was like, okay, I like sciences. I like sciences that are applicable to things that I like, aka working out. So yeah, I started my undergrad in bio, and then I learned quickly that bless the people that love plants and want to study them. I just microbiome and all the plants wasn't for me. Yeah. So I switched to exercise science, and I really like studying that because anything that's like applicable to the body, I think is really fascinating. Then I did a master's in kinesiology, kind of on the same trend. I just really like learning about working out and yeah, exercise physiology. And then when I got to the end of my master's at the University of Florida, I knew I wasn't going to swim past 2024, whether I made the Olympics or not. So that last year, I kind of started thinking about what was next. And I toyed around with the idea of maybe doing my PhD because I TA'd for a little bit in my undergrad and I love teaching. And I was coaching at the time for Gator Swim Club, and I knew I just like coaching as well. So I was like, okay, PhD would be cool. I could teach. Um, but there's a couple schools in Canada that you don't need an MCAT for. University of Ottawa is one of them. So coming up on my last year, I decided to apply, and I was like, we'll see what happens. And coincidentally enough, on the day of my last race at Olympic trials, which was my last race ever, I got my acceptance letter from the University of Ottawa to
Wow.
get into med school.
Well, no, talk about, a sign that that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, and I think it's crazy because when I look back to that year, I had done my 5th year at the University of Florida, and I had an amazing year and got to swim with my best friends and just some amazing people. And we had won SECs and was all American. I swam well at Canadian trials, but my 5th year, I had missed the national team funding in the summer by less than a second. So I didn't have any funding going into my pro year, and that made things a lot harder for me. So when I finished up my 5th year and I was going into my pro year, I looked at the reality of my situation, which was, okay, you don't have carded funding. How are you going to swim, finish your master's, and provide for yourself? And so I thought about maybe moving home and swimming with Dean again. I thought about a lot of things, but the reality was like I wanted to stay at the University of Florida. That was the reason why I transferred. And so that year I was like, okay, I'm going to make this work, whatever it takes. So I got a job working at a medical clinic and was super lucky. My boss ended up sponsoring me and sponsoring the pro fees. So that helped a little bit. And I was doing swim lessons on the side. But at the same time that year, I got really, really burnt out because I was working at a doctor's office. I had applied to med school. I was finishing my master's. I was coaching. I was like barely making ends meet. And on top of that, training for one of the hardest programs in the country. And I think that's a reality that is not like talked enough about in sport. Is the athletes, not the ones that are really good, that are there, that are getting everything, but the ones that are like close. It's really hard to do things like on your own. So I was like the only pro at the University of Florida that was working and that was like not funded inside of swimming. And I don't regret it for a minute because I think it was an amazing like character building year. But at the same time, I got really, really burnt out. And so by the time I reached Olympic trials, I was just grinding, 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 and I was trying to make everything work, and I was tired. I was getting sick a lot that year, and it was really challenging just for me to balance everything on top of, trying to perform at a really high level. So when I got to Olympic trials, it was so unfortunate, but I actually got the norovirus on the first day of my last Olympic trials ever. Which, if you've ever had it, I'm terribly sorry. It is actually the worst thing in the world. I was so sick. Um, yeah, I hadn't eaten before my last race. I hadn't eaten in it's okay. Everything happens for a reason, truly. But yeah, before my last race, I hadn't eaten in like 48 hours. I hadn't swam in 2 days, but um, I just really wanted to have one last race. And I kind of knew I'm like, okay, this might not be the Olympic ending that I dreamed of, but I wanted to finish it on my terms. So I woke up that day and I still raced my 200 breast. And that day, I got my acceptance letter from the University of Ottawa, and it was so bittersweet because I was like, wow, okay, I guess I'm going to be a doctor, but at the same time, I'm not an Olympian. And this is the thing that has fueled me for the last like 10 years. So definitely a bittersweet moment.
Right. Yeah, sort of like a bittersweet full circle moment when that happens, I can imagine. And it sounds like you're no stranger to adversity, eh?
Yeah, I think so. And looking back, like I think that year, especially my pro year, but everything that led before that in sports, like majorly prepared me for my journey into medicine. And although it wasn't something that I like set out on doing from a young age, medicine combines all the things that I love about sports and life. And I'm really happy I ended up here.
Yeah. Well, something tells me that you will find some adversity in medicine as well, and then being a doctor. So I'm glad that you could have gone through all those things, even though, it sucked, that, you will be able to use that experience to your benefit now in the future.
I hope so.
No, have you decided on a specialty yet?
I haven't. I have narrowed some things down, but I'm going into clerkship with a pretty open mind and yeah, just want to keep my options open. I think that's kind of how my life has worked so far is, you do things that you enjoy and you keep an open mind and somehow you end up in the right place.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have some things that attract you more in medicine, like something specific about medicine that lends itself well to a specialty?
You know what? It's going to be so interesting to like listen back to this podcast in 2 years from now when I match and I wonder if it'll be the same thing that I say. Um
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, I've kind of, like, narrowed out surgery. I don't think I want to do surgery, but there's a lot of things I like about family medicine. I really love pediatrics. I love kids. I think that comes from, like, coaching, throughout my swimming career as well. I think kids are awesome and super moldable and awesome to work with, and I like emergency medicine as well. I think it's really fast-paced, and I'm definitely an adrenaline junkie, so I think that works well for the ADHD brain, so those are kinda like the 3 I'm thinking, but we'll see. When we go into clerkship, we'll
Yeah.
see what piques my interest, and of course, sports medicine is in there as well.
Of course. Well, yeah, some of those are really different from the others. So I'm really interested. We should do this again. Let's pencil you in right now for a couple of years from now. We'll come back and see what has happened. We'll do a follow-up, like a sequel, if you will.
We'll revisit. Yeah, I think my problem is just I like everything. I wish I could clone myself all the time and be everywhere at once because I quite literally want to experience everything all the time. Um, yeah, so we'll see what I end up choosing or what ends up choosing me.
Yeah. Do you still feel like an athlete in your day-to-day life today?
I do, because I still train pretty heavily, I guess. I took a little bit of time, after swimming to, work out for fun and just kind of do whatever my body felt like doing. But I learned pretty quickly that I love routine and I love having goals and I like working out for a purpose. So since retiring from swimming, and I'm super lucky to live in Ottawa because the community is just like really awesome for all things outdoor and exercise. But I've done a couple half marathons. I did a marathon last year and I'm training for a half Ironman right now. So I think, although it sounds crazy, and I know I tell people and they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just really like it. But I think I just doing a sport at such a high level for a long time, you have to really hyper focus on that. And I think right now I feel like a little kid again, just getting to try a bunch of new things and see how good I can be at those things and have fun while doing them. So I do feel like an athlete, but in a different way, like a non-serious athlete that works really hard, but
Yeah.
just does things for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to imagine you back then when you're training and trying to get to the Olympics, you probably had a certain idea of what success would mean back then. Looking back and then looking at your life now, what, how has the definition of success changed for you? What did it mean back then compared to what it means now for you?
That is such a good question because I think it has changed so much. Um, I think when I was simming, like my definition of success would have been making the Olympics, and that didn't happen. So when it didn't happen, there was like, a period where it felt really shitty to not be an Olympian. And I kind of looked like my whole swim career like, oh, what was that all for? Like why did I do all that? Why didn't I start med school sooner? Why didn't I you just go through all those questions. But um and it's funny when I was swimming, like you'd always have people tell you like, "Oh, it's not about the destination, it's about the process." And I'd be like,
The
"Shut up.
journey, yeah.
No. Yeah, I don't want the journey. I want the final piece."
Hmm.
But it's so true. Like I think now my definition of success is working really, really hard for something, connecting with people along the way, having fun while doing it, and seeing what kind of life you can build for yourself. And being able to serve others, I think, is a big definition of success for me. Like I think especially now, in medicine, although I haven't done much yet, hopefully someday I'll have the knowledge to just be able to serve other people and teach other people. And with my coaching now, I try and do that too. I get to use my experiences to help other people. And yeah, so I think that's how success has changed. It's not about an endpoint, it's about like everything along the way. And I think I still have to remind myself that sometime because in med things can for sure feel a little bit all consuming and like you're never gonna know enough. And it's true, you're never gonna know enough. So you kind of just have to enjoy the ride and you realize that success is built along the way.
Would you say that's one of the biggest lessons you would have right now to give, say, to young Nina out there that is having the same sort of dreams that you had back at that age? Is that what you would tell her right now, or are there any other lessons that you would bestow upon someone young right now that has those same dreams that you had?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would say, and I would probably tell my younger self, like, "You can't control everything, so loosen the grip." Because I think that's a big thing for anyone that wants something really bad or that's working really hard for something is when you want it so bad, you, like, have a death grip on it. And when you have a death grip on it, you lose track of why you even wanted it in the first place, and then it kind of lets you not enjoy everything else around you to the same extent. So I think just knowing that control is an illusion and quite literally all you can control is your attitude, the way you show up for the people around you and your effort. And when you do that, you don't have to worry, you don't have to be anxious. You just have to trust that you're doing the best you can and that's all you can do.
Yeah, those are um, amazing lessons and an amazing way to look at it. And I'm sure if you could, like you said, if you could tell yourself, younger Nina right now, those things probably would have been a little bit easier maybe for you, not to suffer through some of the things they've probably had to deal with back then, with performance anxiety, like you said, and all the difficulties that you've gone through, the injuries and all the setbacks. But looking at it from a different perspective, that's also what made you who you are today. So, you know,
Yeah, totally. Like I remember a coach telling me one time, like, just stop worrying, stop worrying. I think that's the worst advice you could ever give someone because anyone that's working towards something that's, nervous or worried about something, if you tell them to stop, that doesn't do anything. I think it's about like knowing maybe why you're worried, why you have those feelings and learning to know yourself enough to calm the thoughts and know that you deserve to be doing whatever you're doing at the time.
yeah, it's like telling someone to calm down, right? Just calm down.
Yeah, like that
When does
works,
that
right?
ever work?
Right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
funny.
No, we keep doing it though. Just calm down. Sounds so simple, eh?
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Well, Nina, we're winding down here, and we're almost done. But before I let you go, we did receive a couple of questions from people that are following your journey. So we call this segment "Fan Questions." Is that okay?
Yeah, that's so fun. Oh my god, a fan? I feel famous. It's like my mom. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't think so. No one with the same last name as you sent in any questions. So it was actually just people that follow you. So here is 10 questions.
Here are your 5 questions. 5 questions. 5 questions.
I don't know if this is a fan or if you know this person. I'm going to guess you know him, Alex Landry. He's asking, what is your favorite memory from and I'm going to try to pronounce this properly, Gino Tiani Gold Pool Laurentian? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes. Oh my God, Alex is wonderful. He's still swimming for Sudbury Laurentian Swim Club, my home coach there, and he's actually starting at the University of Ottawa this year, which I won't be coaching anymore because I'm starting clerkship, but he's wonderful. Anyways, to answer that question, the pool in Sudbury closed down during COVID, which is tragic because it was the only Olympic-sized pool in Northern Ontario, and I have the fondest memories growing up swimming there. And I think my favorite thing was my coach used to, on some morning practice, would take these big long ropes, like ropes that you'd see in a gym, and he'd tie them from the towers. And our mission was, you need to climb these ropes as many times as possible. So it was like such a fun thing to, get to the pool and think you're about to do 3100s best average, and then you see the ropes get whipped out, and it's like, yes, we get to climb. Those are my favorite memories.
Nice. Dee is wondering what the main difference is between the training you had in Canada and the training you did in Florida, if there was any difference.
I think my training in Canada growing up was a lot more general, and I think that's pretty normal for people growing up swimming club. You don't really specialize early on because you want to, develop like an athletic base. So I did a lot of freestyle IM training, even though breaststroke was my main specialty. And then when I got to Florida State, it was a lot more specialized, as in training a lot of breaststroke and sprint work. And then coming to the University of Florida, that is a program that does a lot more general work as well. So I think my upbringing swimming for Sudbury Laurentian prepped me well for some of the really hard practices that we had at Florida.
Luke asked, what has been the most memorable race or competition of your career so far, and why?
I think my last NCAAs with the Gators, my 200 breaststroke was very memorable for me. The team of girls we had that year was just wonderful. All the girls I got to swim with were just amazing, and I'd been working, my whole college career to be All-American, and finally getting to swim in the final and breaking a school record and going a huge best time was, and just finishing, touching the wall and having the group of girls run and hug me was just something that was, I'm going to remember forever. It was really special.
No, Nina, before I let you go, we do have one last segment here on the show that I call quick fire, okay? So I'll give you 2 options, and you got to choose one. Is that okay? No right or wrong answers, just to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, so if you're ready, here's quick fire.
It's quick fire time! Oh!
Early morning practice or late night swim?
Early morning, for sure.
Early morning lectures or late night studying?
Early morning. My brain does not work past 5 p.m.
Okay, studying at the library or studying at home?
Library.
Studying by yourself or with a group?
With a group, but by yourself with a group.
So we're all in the same place, but you're not. You're just sitting there studying.
Yeah, I do it with my roommate Yasmin, who you had on your podcast all the time. I just don't like studying by myself, so I'll sit in her room, I'll sit on her bed, she'll sit at her desk, and we both have our noise-canceling headphones on, and it's the best.
Perfect. Just be there. Perfect race or perfect exam score?
Oh, perfect race. Who cares about the exam score?
You just got to pass, right, on the exam?
Yeah,
Don't show this to all your professors.
My professors listen, please.
Strict routine or go with the flow?
Oh gosh, both. I love my routine, but every now and then you gotta switch it up. So I think routine for the things that are important, but then giving yourself room to play is so important.
Yeah. Winning by a lot or winning by just a touch?
Oh, winning by a lot. Come on, give it all to me.
Music before competition or focused silence?
Actually, I was silent. I never listened to music, which is funny because I play music and I'm a
Interesting.
big musician. I love music in all capacities, but never listened to
Hmm,
music when I raced.
interesting. City life or small town?
Small town, Sudbury girl.
This I probably know the answer to this one. English or French?
French, I gotta practice.
Okay, well, this is, I thought you were gonna say English. See, I always, every time I talk to anybody during quickfire, I go, I know the answer to this one, and I say, and they say the opposite. So I'm really bad at this.
Well, it's just funny because like, yeah, French, if you don't practice, like when I started like med
Yeah,
school here, I hadn't spoken French in nearly 6 years. So it's been so fun to like come back to studying in French, but I'm always trying to practice
yeah,
my French. I make my friends talk to me in French because if you don't practice it, you lose it. So I'm gonna say French
you
just
sure
because I
do.
need to practice.
Okay, risk it or play it safe.
Risk it.
Road trip or flying.
Oh, flying. If I never had to drive a car again, that'd be my ideal.
When you're flying, then carry on only or overpacker.
Oh, it depends on the trip. Like I'll often travel in just a backpack,
Mm.
but then we also took a med friend trip to Punta Cana and I had my suitcase. I was shoving things in my roommate's suitcase, so well, both. I'm terrible.
Both. Okay, home cooked meal or going out to eat.
Home cooked meal.
And the last one, scrubs or swimsuit.
Depends. If I'm swimming, scrubs. If I'm treating patients, swimsuit. No, I'm kidding.
That
We'll go
would
with
be
swimsuit.
awkward, I feel like.
We'll go with swimsuit. I think
Could
I
you
was born in
imagine?
one. Sorry, I
Yeah,
packed the wrong
yeah.
bag.
Yes, I overpacked, but all the wrong stuff.
Cap and goggles for the
Amazing.
OR.
Nina, what do you do in your free time? Do you have free time while in med school? And if so, what do you do in your free time?
I make free time. I think that's so important. I was really like worried for that when I started med because everyone's like, oh, your life is over. But I totally disagree with that. I think it's a very like work hard, play hard culture. Well, at least that's how me and my friends do it. Um, so yeah, like I think when you're studying, but I think there's enough time to incorporate stuff.
And what is it that you do for fun? Then on your time off.
Oh gosh, I love doing anything outside, and Ottawa is the best for that, like running on the canal, biking in Gatineau with my friends. We got run clubs and bike clubs and stuff like that. I love to read, big like classic book reader. And then I also like to play a lot of music, like me and my med friends, a couple of them that play instruments every now and then we'll all get together and just jam. I play the guitar and violin, so that's kind of like my um yeah, turn off the brain, like de-stress kind of thing. So I want to do everything all the time, I think is my problem.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what was the latest book that you've read that you can say it's like something good for us to read?
Okay, well, the latest book I read, I just started reading Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Because I had
fun.
yeah, I had a friend who went to visit the Shire in New Zealand, and I thought it looked really cool.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I
Is it the
started.
first time that you're reading it?
Yeah, I've never seen the movies or read them, and I'm like
Really?
loving it. Yeah,
Really? Well, you'll like it, I'm sure. I'm sure. If you like fantasy and fiction, I guess in that case, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like it. I've read
yeah.
them all, watched all the movies, did everything, loved it. So
I'm so excited to watch the movies. I just finished the second book, but yeah, so I finished those and then there's like this like Forbes list of like the 100 greatest books of all time, so I'm trying to like slowly scratch off those books. So I've been on a classics kick lately, but yeah, a lot of Charlotte Bronte, reread To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah, I've been doing all like the classics lately, which I think are really fun to read because I think the language is a little bit different, so you really have to like slow down and ask yourself like what is going on.
think about it.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been enjoying reading some of those, but if I had time, I'd read all the books in the world, I think.
That's amazing. Hey, that was a bit of a tangent, but I just thought, like I know that you like to read a lot, so I figured I would ask what you've been up to.
Yeah.
Nina, that is all I have for today. I do appreciate your time and you being here again, and I'd love to open up the floor to you. Let everyone know your socials if they want to follow your journey, see what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun to walk down memory lane. It was really awesome. All my socials are just Nina Kucheran for anyone who wants to reach me.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, like, thank you for having me, and your podcast is really amazing. Like, I've listened to a couple of the episodes, and I think you really
Thank
have
you.
such a gift for the questions that you ask people and just getting to know athletes for more than their scores and their times and stuff. Like, you have a really wonderful podcast. So thanks for doing the work,
Oh,
and
thank you.
thanks for having me on. I feel like I'm a nobody, but I appreciated the time to chat with
Oh,
you.
no, no way, no. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really flattered. Thank you, thank you. It feels weird being complimented, but I thank you for that. That was really nice of you. I appreciate you, and yeah, I've been really lucky, and I guess I like getting to know people, so that's how I ask questions. So I'm glad that works.
Yeah, like truly, the questions you ask are like just wonderful. Like you really pull the best out of people, and yeah, I hope you get like
Oh,
mega
thank you
famous
so much.
someday because it's one of the best podcasts I've
Oh.
listened to on athletes, truly.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I'm getting shy.
I know
Thank
being
you.
complimented is weird. It's like, stop, let me go back to work.
It is so weird. Oh, thank you so much. I do really appreciate you, and I really do also appreciate everybody that listens to it. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next time here on Under the Sportlight.